There's something about him, something you can't quite put your finger on. He doesn't demand attention, yet when he enters a room, people notice. He doesn't try to impress, yet others instinctively respect him. This isn't luck. This isn't arrogance. This is presence, an unshakable force cultivated through discipline, self-awareness, and an understanding of life that most men never grasp. You see, true attractiveness isn't about looks alone. It's not about designer clothes, fast cars, or a perfect jawline. It's about something deeper, something primal, an energy that cannot be faked. And if you possess it, the world around you reacts. Women notice, men admire. Opportunities seem to appear effortlessly. But how do you know if you have it? How do you know if you are one of these rare men who naturally stand out? You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be heard. You don't need to chase validation to feel valuable. In fact, the moment you stop seeking approval is the moment the world starts giving it to you freely. Think about the most compelling men in history: Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. They weren't concerned with impressing people. Their power came from within. They were guided by principles, not popularity, and that made them unforgettable. In modern times, this kind of energy is even rarer. We live in an age where attention-seeking is the norm. Social media thrives on desperation, men chasing likes, validation, and approval. But there's a different kind of man, a man who doesn't need the spotlight, yet becomes the center of attention without trying. If you've ever found yourself in a conversation where people naturally listen when you speak, without you raising your voice, then you've felt the beginning of this power. If you've ever walked past someone and felt their gaze linger on you, not because of what you wore, but because of how you moved, then you understand what I mean. It's an energy, an unspoken presence that cannot be taught in a book or mimicked by copying others. It comes from within. Stoic Venture presents The 7 Signs You Are a Highly Attractive Man. But before we begin, understand this. True attractiveness is not a trick. It is not a manipulation tactic. It is not something you learn overnight. It is built. It is earned. And once you have it, it cannot be taken from you. It's not about trying to impress. It's about embodying something that others feel before they even understand it. When a man carries himself with quiet confidence, it disrupts the noise of the world. He doesn't seek approval. He doesn't beg for validation. Instead, he moves with a sense of purpose, measured, intentional, unshaken. This kind of man is rare, and rarity is attractive. You've seen it before. A man who doesn't rush to fill silence, who doesn't need to prove his worth. While others fidget, overshare, or force laughter, he remains composed, and in that stillness, he commands attention. Women sense it immediately. The way he holds eye contact without hesitation, the way he listens, not just waiting for his turn to speak, but truly absorbing what's being said. His presence alone creates intrigue. But what makes this confidence so powerful? Why is it so captivating? The answer lies in control. Not control over others, but control over oneself. Most men live at the mercy of their emotions. They react impulsively. If someone insults them, they lash out. If they face rejection, they crumble. If they don't get immediate validation, they start questioning themselves. But a truly attractive man, he doesn't operate this way. He understands that emotions are just passing waves. They come and go, but they don't define him. He remains steady, like an anchor in the storm. This emotional control is intoxicating. It signals strength, and strength is attractive. Women are drawn to men who are unshaken by external forces, not because they want a robot, but because stability is rare. In a world where most people are slaves to their impulses, a man who has mastered himself is like finding gold in a sea of dust. Imagine two men in the same situation. One man gets ignored by a woman at a bar. He immediately starts overcompensating, talking louder, cracking jokes, trying harder. His desperation is obvious, and it repels the very attention he seeks. The other man? He simply smiles and continues his conversation, unfazed. He knows his value isn't determined by one person's response. He remains centered, relaxed. And because of that, the same woman who ignored him starts wondering, who is this man? Why isn't he seeking my attention like the others? This is the power of controlled confidence. It is not about arrogance. It is not about indifference. It is about self-assurance. The quiet certainty that you are enough, with or without approval. But confidence alone is not enough. It must be backed by something deeper, something woven into the fabric of who you are. And that depth, that unshakable presence, it comes from one thing: a man's relationship with himself. Attractiveness isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you see yourself. A man who has built himself, who has endured hardship, sharpened his mind, and mastered his impulses, carries something rare, a quiet intensity that cannot be faked. Think of the men who naturally draw people in. They don't seek attention, yet it follows them. They don't chase approval, yet they are respected. What sets them apart? It's the way they move, slow, deliberate, never rushed. It's the way they hold eye contact, not as a challenge, but as an unspoken understanding. It's the way they listen, not waiting for their turn to speak, but absorbing every word with focus. This is presence. This is magnetism. And it doesn't come from tricks or techniques. It comes from a foundation of self-respect. A man who respects himself has boundaries. He doesn't tolerate disrespect, not because he's aggressive, but because he doesn't need to. His energy alone makes it clear. He values his time, his mind, his energy. If someone tries to manipulate or undermine him, he simply removes himself. No drama, no need for revenge. He just walks away. This is why people, especially women, are drawn to him. Because most men crave approval. They bend themselves to fit in. They try too hard. But the man who respects himself, he does not adjust himself for others. He attracts others by being immovable in his values. And here's the paradox. The less you need approval, the more it comes to you. Women admire a man who is comfortable in his own skin, who doesn't second-guess himself. When you move with quiet confidence, when you know your worth without having to announce it, it creates an air of mystery. And mystery is one of the strongest forces of attraction. Because in a world where people overshare, where every thought is broadcasted online, where men try to impress by proving themselves, a man who doesn't reveal everything, a man who carries an unspoken strength, he becomes irresistible. But this isn't just about how others react to you. This is about who you are when no one is watching. True presence, true magnetism, true attractiveness. It isn't built in front of an audience. It's built in solitude. It's built in the early mornings when you choose discipline over comfort. It's built in the moments where you push past weakness, where you sharpen your mind, where you train your body, where you strengthen your will. And when you step into the world carrying that energy, people feel it before you ever say a word. This is why a highly attractive man doesn't chase. He attracts. And it all starts with how he builds himself. But building oneself is not about perfection. It's about mastery. Mastery over mind, emotions, and actions. A truly attractive man is not one who is flawless. He is one who embraces his flaws, sharpens his strengths, and refuses to be ruled by his weaknesses. This kind of man does not fear failure, because he understands that every setback is an opportunity to refine himself. And this mindset, it separates him from the masses. Most men crumble under pressure. They react emotionally to criticism. They let rejection define them. They chase after comfort instead of challenge. But the rare man, the one who stands out, is the one who remains unshaken. This is where Stoicism becomes his greatest weapon. Stoicism teaches that external events do not control us. Our perception of them does. A highly attractive man internalizes this truth. He understands that he cannot control how others see him, but he can control how he sees himself. And that is all that matters. If a woman ignores him, he doesn't react, because his confidence is not dependent on external validation. If someone disrespects him, he doesn't lash out, because he knows true power is in restraint, not in reckless emotion. If life throws obstacles in his way, he doesn't complain, because he sees hardship as an opportunity to grow stronger. And this resilience, this ability to remain composed while others break, it is magnetic, because deep down, people crave stability. Women crave a man who can hold his ground, who can be their rock in the chaos of life. And when they find a man who doesn't flinch in the face of adversity, who doesn't collapse under pressure, who doesn't let fear control him, they can't help but be drawn to him. But this strength is not just in his mind. It is in his body, his habits, his very way of moving through life. A highly attractive man carries himself differently. His posture is straight but relaxed. His movements are slow, deliberate. He doesn't fidget. He doesn't seek attention with loud gestures or forced laughter. His presence alone is enough. And when he speaks, people listen. Not because he talks the most, but because when he does speak, his words have weight. He doesn't waste breath on meaningless chatter. He speaks with purpose, with clarity, with intention. This kind of man doesn't just exist. He commands existence, and that is what makes him unforgettable. Because when a man reaches this level of mastery, where his thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony, he no longer needs to seek validation. Validation seeks him, and that's when the shift happens. When a man no longer chases validation, when he no longer reacts to every external force, when he becomes the architect of his own reality, he steps into a different league, a rare category of men who don't just live life, but command it. This is when attraction becomes effortless, because attraction isn't just about looks. It isn't about money, status, or surface-level charm. It's about energy. It's about what you radiate before you even speak. A highly attractive man doesn't need to announce his value. It's felt. It's felt in the way he walks, unhurried, with a calm certainty that he belongs wherever he chooses to be. It's felt in the way he sits, relaxed, but fully present, never slouching or shrinking to make himself small. It's felt in the way he interacts, not trying to impress but genuinely curious, grounded, and aware. This is the kind of man who can sit in complete silence and still dominate the room, not because he demands attention, but because his presence speaks louder than words. And that presence, it's built through discipline, through mastery, through the refusal to be anything other than his most powerful, authentic self. He is not a people pleaser. He does not bend to fit expectations. He does not dilute himself for the comfort of others. And because of this, he stands out. Most men live in fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of standing alone. They seek approval, validation, and permission to exist. But the highly attractive man, he operates on a different frequency. He does not ask for permission. He simply is. And this level of self-possession, it's rare. And anything rare holds value. Women sense it before they even understand it. They feel drawn to him, not because he is performing, but because he is not. Because in a world full of men desperate to prove their worth, he is the one man who already knows his own. This is what separates him. This is what makes him magnetic. And the greatest irony, it was never about being attractive to others. It was about mastering himself. Because the moment a man fully owns who he is, without apology, without fear, without compromise, that is the moment the world starts to revolve around him. And that is the ultimate power. Stoic venture.